Please respond in the chat, guys. Yes. Very good evening, guys. Very good evening. Guys, actually today I'm having a small trouble with my internet connection. So that is the reason I have connected a little bit lately. Kindly please don't mind. I hope you're understanding me. I mean, my router is not working properly. Okay. So that is the reason I have taken a little bit more time, guys. Please don't mind. I try to solve it. Okay, guys. Okay. So now, always, let us start our session here today, guys. So, guys, before starting our session, let us try to have a very small and a quick recap of the concepts which are covered in our yesterday's class. Right. So, guys, yesterday we have discussed about yesterday we have discussed about which concept? Multi-threading. Am I right? Yes. Yes. So yesterday we discussed about multi-threading concept and we have successfully covered that, and I had posted some questions also in our Google Classroom. I hope you have cleared all those questions, guys. Now today, guys, we are going to start with entirely a new concept, guys, completely a new concept, that is exception handling. Okay. Today we are going to deal with exception handling concept. Now, guys, before going to this exception handling, first we should be having an idea about what is an error, and what is an exception. Okay, so first we are supposed to have an idea about what is an error and what is an exception. After understanding what is an error and after understanding what is an exception, then only we'll be able to have an idea about what is actually exception handling. Okay, so first, okay, guys, for example, let me just try to have a small program, just a simple program. Just a very simple program. Okay, now, okay, void method one like this, and here system.out.println, I'm writing 10, system.out.println 20, and system.out.println 30, like this. Okay, now for example, main method, inside my main method, if I'm trying to call, okay, new class a dot method one, here right now my output will be 10, 20, and 30. Like very simple output. Am I right or wrong, guys? My output will be 10, 20, and 30. Like we already know that, like this particular concept we have already covered and we already know that, right? Yes. Now actually what I want to ask you is, for example, guys, if we are removing that semicolon, if you are trying to remove the semicolon, what will happen? What will happen? If I am removing the semicolon, we will not be getting an exception, guys. What we will be getting? We will be getting an error. Right click, run as Java application, and yes, we'll be getting an error, right? So java.lang error, we'll be getting an error, syntax error. But are we able to execute our program? Are we able to execute our program? No. Means the program is getting terminated. Am I right or wrong? The program is getting terminated, right? For example, let me just keep like this, and I'm trying to write 20 by 0. Right now, let me try to execute my program. Right now also, the program is getting terminated. Are you observing here, guys? Yes. So, if our program is having an error, if our code is having an error, the program is getting terminated. If our code is having an exception also, the program is getting terminated. But what is the difference here? What is the difference here? Okay, guys, please listen to me. If our program is having an error, we cannot save our program. Means 100% the program will be terminated until you resolve that error. 100% it will be terminated. You cannot continue the flow of your program. If our program is having an exception, I repeat, if our program is having an exception, if we handle that exception, program will not be terminated. Continue of the program, like free flow of program will be done. Means simple, guys, with simple normal terminologies, errors can't be handled. Exceptions can be handled. Guys, exception handling means, please don't think that we will be removing the exception. No, we will not be removing the exception, or else we will not be resolving the exception. We will not be removing the exception. After exception handling also, the exception will be like that only, but the program will not be terminated. We will be providing an alternative way to continue the flow of execution. But if you are having an error, you don't have any other option. The program will be terminated. Are you understanding me, guys? I mean, how to handle that, I'll let you know. How to handle that exception, I'll let you know. So simply here, what I want to write is, for example, error. If our program is having an error, means what is the difference? Like, what is the difference between an error and an exception? If our program is having an error, we cannot save our program. That means errors can't be handled. If our program is having an error, we cannot save our program. It means errors can't be handled. Now, exception. What is actually this exception? Simple. If our program is having an exception, we can save our program. That means exceptions can be handled. Error, we cannot handle an error. Exception, we can handle an exception. As simple as this, guys. That's it, not more than that. And when you are speaking about errors, guys, there are actually three types of errors are there. Three types of errors are there. What are those? Compile time error, runtime errors, runtime errors, and logical errors. Okay, three types of errors are there: compile time error, runtime error, and logical error. Compile time, runtime, and logical errors. So what are compile time errors? Guys, compile time errors means these errors occurs due to wrong syntax. These are also known as syntactical errors. Sorry. These errors occurs due to the wrong syntax. Wrong syntax means, for example, guys, wrong syntax. Okay, if I'm giving C as capital letter, I'm getting an error. What is this error, guys? What is this error? This is known as compile time error. Compile time error. Guys, are you understanding me? Please tell me here. Yes or no? Compile time error means wrong syntax. Wrong syntax. Like this. Okay. Now, for example, can we write? I'll be trying to write RETURN return 500. Can I write like this? Can I write like this? No, I cannot. Why? Because this method return type is void and I should not be writing, like I should not be returning an integer. That is syntactically not correct. So these which errors? Compile time errors. Compile time errors. Okay. Now runtime errors. So what are these runtime errors? These errors occurs due to the inefficiency of the system, or else inefficiency of the machine. For example, guys, in order to run a project, you need minimum 16 GB of RAM in your laptop. Okay. Minimum hardware requirement is 16 GB of RAM. But your laptop is having 2 GB. Will it run? Is your machine able to handle that? No. Then automatically you will be getting an error. Those kind of errors are known as runtime errors. Are you understanding me, guys? Yes. Now logical errors, guys. Okay. These errors occurs due to the bad logic in the program. These errors occurs due to the bad logic in the program. These errors occurs due to the bad logic in the program. Means, for example, okay, guys, now system.out.println 10, system.out.println 20, and here what I want to do, 10 plus 90. 10 plus 90. What is my expected output? I'm not asking what is my output. I'm asking what is my expected output. At line number 7, what is my expected output? Guys, see, I'm not asking what is the output. I'm asking here, I'm trying to write 10 plus 90. My expected output is 100. Expected output is 100. But what is the output I'll be getting? The output which I'll be getting is minus 80. Why? Because this is a bad logic. This is not the correct logic. Am I right or wrong, guys? I need to write plus. So these kind of errors are known as logical errors. These errors occurs due to the bad logic in the program. Guys, are you understanding me? Is it clear, guys? Please tell me. Please tell me. Yes. So point number 1, first point, you should be having an idea about what is an error and what is an exception. Error and an exception. First one, errors. Yes, if an error occurs, the program will be terminated. If an exception occurs, the program will be terminated. But error, we cannot save our program. That means errors can't be handled. errors can't be handled. We cannot handle an error. But when you're speaking about an exception can be handled. Now, first we are trying to have an idea about errors. I told you there are three types of errors are there: compile time errors, runtime errors, and logical errors. Compile time errors, these errors occurs due to the wrong syntax. Runtime errors occurs due to like inefficiency of the machine, and logical errors occurs due to the bad logic in the program. As simple as this. Now exceptions. Guys, do you know what? Just like errors, when you're speaking about exception also, there are two types of exceptions are there. Two types. Those are, first one is checked exceptions. Second one is unchecked exceptions. Unchecked exceptions. Checked exceptions. First one is checked exception. Second one is unchecked exception. Okay. Checked exception and unchecked exception, like this. Now, what are checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions? So guys, before understanding what are these checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions, I just want to say a small note point, a very, very small note point. NOT, note point. Guys, in exception handling, little bit theory will be there. Okay, so kindly please concentrate correctly. Note point. Point number one, note point. In Java, every exception always occurs during runtime only, comma, but some are detected at compilation time and some are detected at runtime. In Java, every exception always occurs during runtime only. Guys, you already know that if we want to see the output of our Java program, how many tasks we need to do? If we want to see the output of our Java program, how many tasks we need to do? Very first starting days only we discussed that. How many tasks we need to do? Exactly, two tasks. What are those? First one is a compilation and second one is running. Compilation and running, right? So what I want to say is every exception, right? How many types of exceptions are there? How many types of exceptions are there? Just now I told you. How many types of exceptions are there? Two types: checked exceptions and unchecked exception, right? So every exception always occurs during runtime only, but some exceptions occurs during, some exceptions are detected at compilation time and some exceptions are detected at a runtime. That is the first point, like note point, which I want to say. The second note point is in Java, always exception occurs either inside a method or inside a block. In Java, always exceptions occur either inside a method or inside a block. For example, static block is there, right? Yes, like that. Static block, synchronized block, like that. Okay, guys? Right. I said you 2 points. Right. Now, guys, what are checked exceptions? What are checked exceptions? The exceptions which are detected by the Java compiler at compilation time are known as checked exceptions. The exceptions which are detected by the Java compiler at compilation time are known as checked exceptions. Guys, very important question. What are checked exceptions? What are checked exceptions? Okay, the exceptions which are detected by the Java compiler, at compilation time, are known as checked exceptions. Trust me when I say this, one of very important interview point of view question, guys. Okay, are known as checked exceptions. And what are unchecked exceptions? What are unchecked exceptions? The exceptions which are detected by the JVM at runtime are known as unchecked exceptions. Guys, are you understanding what are checked and unchecked exceptions? Kindly please tell me here. Yes, that is great. The exception, guys, trust me, in exception handling, theory plays a very important role. Please don't do any single mistakes also in exception handling. Easy, very easy concepts. Okay, right. So the exceptions which are detected by the Java compiler at compilation time are known as checked exceptions. The exceptions which are detected by the JVM at runtime are known as unchecked exceptions. As simple as this. And guys, I already told you, every Java exception always occurs during at runtime only, but some are detected at compilation time and some are detected at runtime. The exceptions which are detected at compilation time are known as checked exceptions, and the exceptions which are detected at a runtime are known as unchecked exceptions. Okay, guys, up to now, is it clear? So just what we discussed what is an error, what is an exception, how many types of errors are there, how many types of exceptions are there, what is the difference between an error and an exception, what are checked exceptions and what are unchecked exceptions. Guys, you will get this question. What are checked exceptions and what are unchecked exceptions? As simple as this. Okay. Now, guys, I'm having a small question. Very small question. The question is, what happens? Question, just like a small question. What happens if an exception? What happens if an exception occurred in your program? Just what happens if an exception occurred in your program? For example, guys, here, let me try to remove this. Now, okay, 20/0. I'm just trying to write 20/0 like this. Now, in my program, did I wrote any exception handling techniques? Obviously, no. I mean, If I'm writing any exception handling techniques, obviously you'll be understanding that. So I did not write any exception handling techniques, right? Now what happens? Right now what happens? Okay, an exception will be raised. Okay, then what happens? Sir, I'll be getting an exception message. I'll be getting an exception message. Yes, but who is printing this exception message? Who is printing this exception message? And of course, the program is getting terminated. What, like who? Who is performing all these tasks? Not exactly like JVM, guys. Now, please observe here, guys. Please observe here. I told you, always where an exception will be occurring, guys. Always an exception occurs either inside a method or inside a block. Am I right? Yes or no? Always either inside a method or else inside a block. Let us assume that an exception occurred inside a, Java method, Java method. Okay. Now what this Java method will be doing, inside a method, an exception occurred. Now this Java method will create an exception object. This Java method will create an exception object. Okay, just let me try to write the name like this: exception, exception, exception object, exception object. That method, I mean, in which method that exception occurred, inside that method an exception object will be created. Now that exception object consists of name of the exception, name of the exception, reason of the exception, as a matter of fact, complete information like full stack about the exception. Full stack in the sense complete information about that exception, means at which line that exception has occurred, from which method you are calling that particular, what is the calling method of this method. Guys, are you understanding me? Are you getting me, guys? Like line number, everything. So what I'm trying to say is, inside a Java method, whenever an exception occurred, that method will generate an exception object which consists of complete information about that exception. Now this exception object will be sent to the JVM. This exception object will be sent to the JVM, guys, JVM. Now what JVM will be doing, JVM will take the help of the default exception handler. JVM will take the help of default exception handler. JVM will take the help of the default exception handler. Now what this default exception handler will be doing, default exception handler will check, this default exception handler will check if this method is having any exception handling techniques are there or not. If there are any exception handling techniques present, then default exception handler, I repeat, guys, first, inside a Java method, if an exception occurred, Java method will create an exception object. This JVM will take the help of the default exception handler. Now, what this default exception handler will be doing, default exception handler will check if handling techniques present or not. If there are any exception handling techniques are present, then default exception handler will send this object, exception object, to the exception handling techniques. That is, either we will be trying to write try, catch, or finally. If there are no exception handling techniques present in your method, then simply default exception handler will print these exception related messages and your program will be terminated. Your program will be terminated. As simple as it is. As simple as it is. Guys, is my voice clear? Is my voice clear? Please tell me. Yeah, it is clear. Guys, for some people it's not clear. For others it is clear. Please check that. Please check that. Once again, I'm saying you, whenever an exception occurred inside a Java method, whenever an exception occurred inside a Java method will create an exception object. That exception object consists of name of the exception, reason of the exception, complete information about the exception. That exception object will be sent to the JVM. JVM will take the help of the default exception handler. What this default exception handler will be doing, default exception handler will check if this method is having any, if this method is consisting any exception handling techniques are there or not. If there are any exception handling techniques are present, then default exception handler will send this exception object to those exception handling techniques. If that method is not having any exception handling techniques, then simply the program will be terminated by printing the basic information about the exception. This basic information about the exception is printed by default exception handler. Please don't get confused that JVM. Okay, this printed this basic information about the exception will be printed by the default exception handler. Is it clear, guys, for everyone? Please tell me. Please tell me. Now, yes, that is great. That is great. Now, guys, very popular interview point of view question is very popular interview point of question is what are checked exceptions and what are unchecked exceptions. So yes, I told you, checked exceptions means the exceptions which are checked exceptions means the exceptions which are detected at compilation time by the Java compiler are known as checked exceptions. Unchecked exception means the exceptions which are detected by the JVM at runtime. Now, guys, do me a favor. Can you please have this exception hierarchy in your notes right now? Can you please do this exception hierarchy? Actually, this is important, guys. All these yellow color are checked exceptions. Why it is important, you will understand. All these are checked exceptions. Please have this. Please inform if it is completed, guys. I'm waiting. Please inform if it is completed. Guys, you need to inform me. You need to inform me. Yeah, take time, take time. But please inform if it is completed. Completed. Right, 1 more minute. 1 more minute. Just 1 more minute. Okay. Okay, okay, right. So I hope it's completed, guys, for everyone. I hope it's completed. Parvesh, be fast. Be fast, buddy. Be fast. Krishna, I did not understand that. What? Yeah, like exception names, IO exception, class not found exception, clone not support exception. Yes, yes. These are classes actually. These are classes. Guys, let me ask you one thing. Let me ask you one thing. What is the super class for all the Java classes, guys? What is the super class for all the Java classes? Object class, right? Object class is the super class for all the Java classes. Just like that, throwable is the super class for throwable. Throwable is the super class for all the exceptions and errors. Okay. Now, yeah, errors. If your program is having an error, we cannot save our program. Our program is go, Goa, gone. That's it. I mean, we cannot save our program. But if your program is having an exception, we can handle that exception. And those exceptions are of two types. What are those? Checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions, right? So all these yellow color are checked exceptions. All these orange color are unchecked exceptions. By the way, guys, all these are class names, predefined class names. IO exception means it is a name of a class. Class not found exception means it is a name of a class. Are you understanding me, guys? Yes. All these are predefined class names. Predefined class names. Okay. So now my question is, guys, my question is, please check correctly and tell me, what is the parent exception for arithmetic exception? What is the parent exception for arithmetic exception? Parent exception. What is the parent exception for arithmetic exception? Exactly. The parent exception for arithmetic exception is runtime exception. What is the parent exception for runtime exception? What is the parent class? What is the parent class for runtime exception? The parent class for runtime exception is exception. What is the parent class for exception? Throwable. What is the parent class for throwable? Object. Object class. Guys, did you understand the flow here? Okay. Just please remember that flow. Just please remember this flow. Again, we'll be discussing more about this flow. Wait for it. Okay. Now, just let me try to save this. Okay, what is today's date? 28th March. No, 29th March. 29th March. Okay. Part 1. Okay. Just let me close it. Now, guys, now we have came to the concept exception handling. Exception handling. What is exception handling? Guys, most of the time people will be thinking that exception handling means removing the exception or resolving the exception, but that is completely wrong. Okay, Exception handling means we are not removing any exception. We are not resolving any exception. Okay. Exception handling means not removing or resolving an exception. We are providing an alternative way to continue the flow of program. After exception handling, the program will not be terminated abnormally. After exception handling, the program will not be terminated abnormally. Are you understanding me, guys? Even after exception handling mechanism is done, exception will be present in your program, but the program will not be terminated. This is very important. Even after exception handling mechanism is done, exception will be present in your program, but the program will not be terminated. Are you understanding me, guys? Exception handling means not removing or not resolving an exception. We are providing an alternative way to continue the flow of the program. As simple as this. As simple as this. For example, like how to handle an exception. Question is, okay, you are saying exception handling, but how to handle an exception? How to handle an exception? Guys, we can handle an exception by using try, catch, finally blocks. We can handle an exception by using try, catch, finally blocks. We can handle an exception by using try, catch, finally blocks. Okay. First, let me try to write try block. Try block. After that, catch block. Catch block. After that, finally block. Like this. Okay. Try, catch, finally blocks. Now here inside that try block, what we need to write? Inside the try block, we need to write the suspicious code. Inside the try block, we need to write the suspicious code. Inside the catch block, we need to handle an exception which occurred in the try block. Inside the catch block, we need to handle an exception which occurred in the try block. Finally, block will always gets executed irrespective of the exception. That's it, guys. Okay, 3 blocks: try, catch finally. So inside the try block, we need to write the suspicious code. Inside the catch block, we need to catch whatever the exception occurred inside the try block, and finally block will be always, it will be getting executed. So what is the use of this try catch finally, how to write this program, like how to handle this try catch finally blocks, we'll be trying to cover in our tomorrow sessions, guys. Okay, so as of now, you should be understanding what is an error, what is an exception, how many types of errors are there, how many types of exceptions are there, what are checked exceptions, what are unchecked exceptions, and if we want to handle an exception, basically what is an exception handling, guys? Exception, again I'm saying you, exception handling means, don't think that we are removing the exception. No way. Exception will be present like that only, but we are showing an alternative way to continue the flow of our program. So tomorrow I'll be trying to show you how to handle this particular exception, and there are some very important key points which we are supposed to discuss. So tomorrow we'll be trying to cover all those particular concepts, guys. Okay, Krishna, wait until the topic is covered, Krishna. Okay, guys. All right, guys. That's it, guys. That's it for today. And guys, again, I'm saying you, like, today I have connected a little bit lately. Kindly please don't mind. There is a small problem with the router. I believe today you have observed some fluctuations. You have observed it, right? Like my voice is breaking sometimes today. So that is the reason I had connected a little bit lately. Kindly please don't mind, guys. Okay. I hope you're understanding me. Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding. And we'll be trying to continue our session again by tomorrow. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.